Hello, I'm Katherine Gulick from Dr. Angie Saver. We're so happy you called us for help with your home. I'm here to introduce you to the founder and CEO of our company, Larry Janesky. Larry started his career in home construction in 1982 and 5 years later began repairing and retrofitting homes. Larry's invented many innovative solutions and has 33 patents. He has trained thousands of people across North America and is widely known as a leading practical building scientist who studies how heat and moisture move through a building. Let's go to Larry.
Hello, and thank you for calling us for help with your home. Most people call us because they have a comfort issue in their home. That could be that some rooms are too cold in the winter. Maybe you have cold floors or drafty rooms, or some rooms are too hot in the summer, or you have rooms that are okay in the night and not okay in the daytime. And most everyone is concerned about the cost of energy to heat and cool their homes. When it comes to electric and gas bills, one thing that we know is that they will keep coming every month forever and ever. In most every home, these bills are higher than they should be, and we know that over time, the cost of electric and natural gas only goes up. This is a chart of the average residential price of electricity in the United States over the last 25 years, always going up. So to fix these problems, there are one of two approaches. Now, the first one is called a deep energy retrofit. That's where you move out of the house and we tear all the drywall out to the studs and start over, making all the needed changes to make your house more energy efficient. It's very disruptive and costs over $150,000 in an average home. But when you move back into your home, it's very energy efficient. Now, that's not what most people are looking for. We understand that, but it's okay because we have another approach. Now, there are a lot of things you could spend money on to get some benefit to make your home energy efficient. But what we need to do is prioritize. We need to understand what changes we could make to your home to have the greatest benefit for the least money relative to other things that could be done. When it comes to comfort and energy savings, you wouldn't want to spend more money for a little benefit until you do the things that will get you the most benefit for the least money. So we need to prioritize. We need to understand how the house works and what is the lowest hanging fruit. To do this, let's start by talking about the thermostat. The thermostat is the brain of the heating and cooling system. But there's not a thermostat in every room, as you know. The thermostat is on an interior wall in a central area. You set the thermostat to the temperature that you want the house to be. Now, we'll be talking about the heating season, but it's the same idea in the summer with the air conditioning running. The thermostat calls down to the furnace or the boiler and says, "Hey, it's cold in here, send us some heat." The furnace dutifully responds and says, "Yes, boss," and it turns on. Now, the furnace only costs you money when it's running. That's when it's consuming fuel and turning it into heat and distributing that heat to your rooms. Now, sometime later, let's say 6 minutes, for example, the thermostat calls down to the furnace again and says, "Hey, we're warm enough in here. We're up to the temperature that I'm set at. You can turn off now." The furnace says, "Okay, boss," and it turns off. Now, the heating or air conditioning system doesn't cost you anything when it's not running. But why then does the thermostat call the furnace just 5 minutes later and call for more heat again? The house was up to temperature. What happened to the heat? The answer is it leaked out. And it leaked out primarily because warm air leaked out of the house. Let's look at the on and off intervals of your heating and cooling system. On a cold day, for example, here's on and here's off. Okay, so this might be before we work on a house. On, off, so forth. Okay. Well, after we fix a home, this is what we see. Okay, on, off, on, off. Now, you see these shorter on periods and these longer off periods? You see, shorter amount of time on, longer amount of time off. Right. Well, therein lies your money savings. And all the while, you have more comfortable rooms and more even temperatures room to room. So how do we know where the air leaks out? And how do we know what changes will yield the highest benefit for the lowest cost? To answer that, I want to tell you about the stack effect. When we heat the air in a house, the warm air rises because it's lighter than colder air. To illustrate this, let's think of a hot air balloon. The warm air is lighter and won't leak out even though there's a big hole in the bottom of the balloon. The warm air rising creates higher air pressure at the top compared to the air outside, which inflates the balloon. Now your house is the same. The heat rises and creates positive pressure at the top. You know, air carries heat. That's why to heat a room, we push air through a duct to that room. Air carries heat. But air is invisible. We can't see it flowing in or out, which makes it a mystery to the average person. We know that in the heating season, air is continually leaking out of gaps, holes, and cracks at the top of the house. That creates negative air pressure at the bottom of the house. And for every cubic foot of air that leaks out, a new cubic foot of air, or equal amount of air, gets sucked into gaps, cracks, and holes at the bottom of the house. So the house is blowing air out at the top and sucking air in at the bottom. The more air that you paid to heat in the winter or cool and dehumidify in the summer that leaks out, the more cold winter outside air or hot, humid summer air has to leak in to replace it. And that makes your heating and cooling system run longer and makes you and your family uncomfortable. At Dr. Energy Saver, this is our business. We geek out on this stuff. And we have a thing we talk about called the first law of holes. And it says that the amount of air leaking through a hole depends on two things: the size of the hole and the pressure difference across the hole. Remember, we said we need to prioritize. We need to do the work that will be the lowest cost with the greatest benefit. Well, not all of these holes in your house are equal. Based on the stack effect and the first law of holes, we know that there is an A, B, C priority. A is for attic, or the top of the house. That's where we have the highest positive air pressure pushing air out of the house. And for that reason, that is the number one place for us to work to get you the biggest benefit for your dollar spent. And for every cubic foot of air that we stop from leaking out of the house, it means that we have stopped a cubic foot of air coming in somewhere at the bottom of the house without even touching the bottom of the house. I hope this is making sense. The house is already full of air. The only way air can leak in is if air leaked out. The second priority is our B priority, is the bottom of the house, the basement or crawl space. This is where we have the highest negative air pressure, sucking air in, but only because we have air leaking out at the top. This explains why your floors are cold in the winter and why the first floor often feels more drafty than the second floor, cold outside air being sucked in. Now, the last priority is C, or the center of the house. It's where we have the least air pressure differences between inside and outside. We don't get nearly as much benefit for the expense here, so we often don't have much to do in the center of the house. So there you go, A, B, C, prioritization of where to spend money to get the biggest benefit and why. Now, before I let you go, I have to tell you that if you have ducts in the attic, it's very important that we air seal and insulate those ducts. That is a super A priority, I call it. We have another video on that your representative can show you if you have ducts in your attic. Now, common repairs in most any house address pipe, wire, and duct holes, your leaky attic access, leaky can lights, the space around your chimney, knee walls, various leaking framing assemblies, and other air leaks, and our true soft cellulose insulation. And these are all done at the A priority, the top of the house. Now your representative can show you the specific solutions that your home needs to make it more comfortable and energy efficient. It can also make it less dusty, have less pollen in the springtime, make your home quieter, and have more even temperatures from room to room, day to night, summer to winter.